Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tearing apart the actual mechanics of cryptocurrency and popping what might literally be the biggest bubble sold to the public over the last decade. If you follow digital finance at all, you know the romanticized narrative, right? Crypto is this rogue, untraceable rebellion against traditional banking, the ultimate middle finger to the establishment. Well, the source material we're analyzing today flips that script entirely. It strips away all that utopian marketing hype to show us exactly how this machine runs under the hood, and what it really means for anyone putting their hard-earned money on the line.
So, let's kick things off with the billion-dollar question. Why did Bitcoin go from absolutely worthless to digital gold? It is incredibly easy to buy into the whole movie script idea that pure anti-establishment belief, or just the sheer brilliance of some decentralized tech genius, is what drove the price into the stratosphere. But our source forcefully pushes back on that, arguing that if you rely on that naive belief, you are completely missing the undeniable mechanics of the broader global market.
And here's where the source drops a massive reality check. The price didn't explode because of a grassroots tech rebellion. It surged because pricing power fundamentally shifted. It moved aggressively away from the cypherpunks giving away coins for free on internet forums, straight into the deep pockets of Wall Street institutions and government compliance frameworks. That formal, heavily centralized validation is what actually transformed it into a recognized asset class. Without that institutional blessing, it would have just remained an internet novelty.
Here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll hit the decentralization myth, break down the 4 types of crypto, explore the reality patch, and dive into the information gap. Then, we'll neutrally unpack some celebrity crypto schemes, and finally wrap up with the centralization endgame. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The Decentralization Myth. Time to redefine arguably the most misunderstood word in digital finance.
Look, decentralization was never, ever about pure anarchy or burning down the banks. That's just a fundamental misreading of the tech. The source actually frames it as an ongoing evolution towards something they call premium centralization. Think of it less like destroying the system and more like a massive, brutal software upgrade. It's the process of filtering out the bad, corrupt, or inefficient centers of power and systematically replacing them with transparent, superior, highly capable, centralized entities. You're upgrading the center, not deleting it.
To really wrap your head around this, think of Satoshi Nakamoto's original white paper as a digital constitution. Much like a real-world constitution, its goal isn't chaos. It uses a strict separation of powers to prevent dictatorship and shut out bad actors. But, and this is key, it still absolutely allows capable, efficient centers to emerge and govern. It creates a massive, transparent sandbox where only the highest quality centers survive under constant public watch.
Section 2. 4 types of crypto. Let's see how this evolution plays out in the real ecosystem.
If you break the market down, you basically have 4 completely different games being played. First, you've got Bitcoin, the digital gold, relying on absolute scarcity and security. Then there's Ethereum, acting as this massive global computer driven by its programmable smart contracts. Down a level, you have Dogecoin, riding heavily on internet culture and premium centers of influence. Think Elon Musk moving the market with a single tweet. And finally, meme coins, zero fundamentals, driven by pure, raw emotion and hyper-speculation. The source makes it crystal clear. If you don't know exactly which of these 4 games you're playing, well, you're almost certainly the one getting played.
Section 3. The reality patch. Let's talk about stablecoins, which act as a massive software patch for a flawed system.
You know you can't buy groceries with something that drops 10% while you're waiting in line, right? The system desperately needed a stable anchor to function as actual money. By pegging stablecoins 1-to-1 with the US dollar, they stripped away that wild investment volatility. But interestingly, the source points out this seemingly technical fix inadvertently allows US dollar hegemony to expand across the globe at lightning speed, entirely bypassing local traditional banks.
And here is the ultimate irony. Forget the myth of untraceable shadow money floating around the dark web. Stablecoins are actually the most transparent, easily freezable assets out there. They are highly centralized, completely visible on the blockchain, and issuers can literally freeze your funds with a single keystroke. It's basically a brand new class of banking, firmly under the tight grip of regulatory centers. Section 4. The information gap. Understanding these mechanics brings us to how predators actually harvest retail investors. The source gives a really stark warning here. You simply cannot profit in a system you don't fully understand. And the whales, they know this intimately. They use a very specific 3-step playbook to exploit everyday investors. First, they bury the truth in totally incomprehensible Web3 jargon. Second,
They whip up fake value and the illusion of overnight wealth to trigger your innate greed. And third, they break the promise. They make it flawlessly easy to deposit your funds, but practically impossible to withdraw them when the illusion shatters.
Section 5. Celebrity Crypto Schemes. We're going to neutrally unpack 3 specific case studies highlighted by the source to ground this theory in reality.
First up, the source tracks Justin Sun's remarkable trajectory. Back in 2017, he runs a massive, highly centralized ICO, but strategically refunds the capital when global regulators crack down. By doing this, the source claims he effectively bought himself life money and avoided arrest. Over the next few years, his Tron network aggressively subsidizes USDT, harvesting just insane global transfer fees. Fast forward to 2026, after making strategic political donations, he settles massive SEC charges for just $10 million. Boom. He successfully transitioned from utilizing the information gap to becoming a fully compliant, premium centralized player.
Then there's the Litecoin incident. The utopian idea sounded great: monetize political traffic to support a cause via decentralized tokens. But the reality was brutal. Because marginalized creators totally lack the protective power of a premium center, they just get devoured. The absolute second that retail liquidity hit the decentralized exchanges, it was harvested, gone, swallowed instantly by MEV bots, which are basically automated predatory algorithms, and massive institutional players.
Which brings us to our final case study, perfectly summed up by one frankly staggering number.
According to the source's analysis, a whopping 75% of the net revenue from the Trump family's WLFI project allegedly flows straight to a single family-controlled entity. The source frames this as the absolute highest level of power rent-seeking, acting as a compliant gateway to aggregate capital. Tying it right back to our earlier point, the text notes that figures like Justin Sun actually pumped $90 million into this exact ecosystem right before his SEC issues miraculously settled. The source uses this to illustrate a masterclass in leveraging premium power to open compliant, highly lucrative doors in the digital economy.
Section 6. The Centralization Endgame. Bringing it all together, who actually wins this grand digital experiment? Consider the very bedrock of crypto, mining hash power. You'd think that computers securing the network are totally decentralized, right? Actually, they're heavily monopolized by massive corporate pools like Foundry USA and Antpool, which often combine to control well over 50% of the entire network. According to the source, this proves a natural, unavoidable economic law. Capital and computing power will always, inevitably, aggregate at the center.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a defining thought directly from our source. The laws of the world are never to eliminate the center, but for the capable to occupy it. If the ultimate, final victor in this entire space is always premium institutional control, you really have to ask yourself, are you actually playing the game, or is the game playing you?